Victory for a high school senior in New York, finally allowed to decorate her parking spot with Bible verses after a legal fight. It is tradition for many seniors to pay for that spot and paint it as a way to promote school spirit. But when Sabrina Steffens submitted her designs featuring a cross and 2 Bible verses, school officials rejected it. First Liberty Institute stepped in, telling the school leaders at Grand Island High School near Buffalo, New York, it was a blatant violation of our First Amendment rights. The school backed down. And joining us this morning to discuss, Sabrina and First Liberty Senior Counsel Keisha Russell. Good morning to you both and welcome to the National News Desk.
Thank you for having us.
Sabrina, I want to go first with the verse that you submitted, which was John 14:6, and that's when Jesus was talking to his disciples at the Last Supper. And the verse is, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Why was this so important to you to have that Bible verse in your spot? And what was your thoughts when the school rejected it?
Well, I feel like that Bible verse is very important just as like Christ followers and just a good way to show God's love to other people who might not know God and might even like question the Bible verse and want to even search it up. So just kind of like planting a seed for others as well. And at first I wasn't really surprised that they didn't allow it because they haven't really allowed a lot of stuff because I run a Bible club as well. And they didn't really allow a lot of stuff. But then after like the second and third drawing that I did that they didn't allow, I kind of like was a little shocked at that.
You've experienced this kind of pushback before because you have a Bible club, right?
Mm-hmm.
What have you experienced?
So we wanted to make posters for the Bible club, but they turned those down because there was Bible verses on the posters or like, you know, biblical stuff, which I thought was silly because it's a Bible club, so I didn't know what else to put on the posters.
And what did you end up putting in your spot? What did they finally agree to?
They actually agreed to the very first drawing that I did, so I was able to do the very first one that I wanted, which was a picture of Salvation Mountain and just a different Bible verse in the heart, which was John 14:6.
You know, Keisha, it's so interesting because you hear others, even well-informed lawyers, talk about the separation of church and state, which is widely used and quoted, but it is not in the Constitution. It's a phrase from Thomas Jefferson in a letter he wrote to the Danbury Baptist Association back in 1802. And the purpose was to tell members that the Bill of Rights prevents the government from establishing a national church, and that these members did not have to fear government interference or control from the right to express their religion. Keisha, what is in the Constitution that protects students like Sabrina from this kind of discrimination?
Well, I wish the educators that I have to sue knew as much as you do about the Constitution, what it actually says. But the First Amendment doubly protects religious speech. So under the Free Speech Clause, viewpoint discrimination is not tolerated under the Constitution. That means that if the other students are allowed to speak freely in their private speech and say what they want on the parking space, then Sabrina is allowed to do the exact same thing. It's also protected under the Free Exercise Clause. But this is something that we see with school districts a lot. They're often banning religious speech, religious exercise that is constitutionally protected because they just don't know the law as well as you do.
Yeah, and how often do you hear separation of church and state and go, that's not what it says?
More often than I would like, that is for sure.
How many cases does your organization receive from students and teachers that are clear cases of religious discrimination?
Oh, so many. I mean, more than we could ever take, I personally probably hear about, you know, at least a dozen or more monthly, that some we can take, some we can't. We're also fighting a case on behalf of a 32-year veteran teacher who was kicked out of the classroom because she keeps a crucifix by her desk. Very small, same sort of idea. The other teachers are allowed to have their private speech, but she isn't. And we're actually in court about that case right now. So it's pretty rampant across the country, the religious discrimination, and we're glad we were able to help Sabrina.
And Sabrina, good for you for being bold and taking a stand. What's your message to other students who might be facing the same kind of discrimination?
Just to remember that just because we're kids, we're able to make such a big impact, and just trusting God's plan for us, and it will bring glory to his name. And at the end of the day, like just trusting God and remembering that no problem is too big for us. Like we can still make change in the world even though we're just kids.
Well, that's amazing. Amen to that. And I understand you want to go into the military after graduation and then help prevent human trafficking, which is very admirable. Best of luck to you both. God bless you both. Thanks for joining us here.
Thank you.